Welcome to the Home Designer Kitchen demonstration. My name is Emily and I will be presenting our kitchen design today. We also have Kayla with us, so if you have any questions throughout today's webinar, feel free to chat those in and she'll be answering all those questions for you today. So before we get started, let's go over the GoToMeeting control panel. First we have our audio. So the standard is use mic and speakers. I have everybody muted, so you don't need a mic today, just use your speakers. And if you're not able to hear me correctly, select this audio setup and that will help adjust the different levels in GoToMeeting. If that's not working, you can also select this use telephone option and a new phone number, code, and PIN will show up for you. If you don't see this larger area to control this, it will minimize to a little toolbar. Select the orange arrow button to restore this larger area. And underneath the audio, you'll find the questions chat area. So type in any question that you have, select send, and Kayla will be answering those for you today. Again, that is the little toolbar. Select that orange arrow button to control the options. So we have quite a few different Home Designer programs. I'll be using the Home Designer Professional today, and I'm going to show you where you can find the differences between the programs on our website after today's webinar. So we're going to be focusing on a kitchen, and I'll kind of go over how the program's laid out a little bit, and then we're going to focus on one room. So draw out the walls and dimension that room, drop in a door and windows, and then we'll focus in on our cabinet layout, placing the cabinets, modifying them, placing appliances, changing your backsplash, and then we'll create a custom island and drop in some lighting. I'll show you where the electrical tools are. And then I'll also kind of go over the different layers. The program will work on layer options, so we'll talk about that a little bit as we go. And at the end I'll cover the materials list that's automatically generated and a plan set. So if you have any questions, chat those in. Alright, so I have Home Designer Pro open. Across the top we're going to have our default toolbar. So starting out we have our select objects, and like the build wall tool, we have the straight curved options. You can also find these tools underneath the build drop down. So with Home Designer software, we can create one room or we can just create an entire structure. Since we're just focusing on the kitchen, we're going to do one room. So I'm going to start out with my exterior wall, click in my plan, and drag. And as I drag that across, you'll see temporary dimensions pop up. So I have an idea of how long that wall is. Click and drag down. We can also select that wall after it's been placed. Bring our cursor right on top of our dimension tool, single click, and that will bring up our pop-up window. Let's do inches. So right now I have feet and inches showing. You can just type in inches if you'd like to. So if you have 116 inches, you can just type that in and it will think in inches. So you don't need to put any marker. At the end you'll see how that wall is going to move. The top will be locked and it's going to move our bottom end there. Hit enter and that will modify for us. And this room is open to a living area. So instead of creating that living area, I'm just going to use my invisible wall to define our space. So if you don't actually have a wall, use the invisible wall tool so you can define your space and create our structure. We'll finish it off with our interior wall tool. Just bring the cursor down, click, and drag up. So they're going to snap together. And once that living area has been defined, there will be an indicator down here for you with the square footage. And you'll also see dashed green lines. This is our roof that's automatically placed on there for us. So let's delete that. We have a roof tool. And in Home Designer Pro, you have the automatic roof tools and manual roof tools. Towards the end here, in all of the programs, we'll have our delete roof planes. So with one single click, it will turn those off for us. And there we go. So let's get into a 3D view. across the top we'll also have a camera tool. This is our perspective 3D view. So with this tool we'll have our full camera, a full overview, so that will include the ceiling that's automatically generated and that roof if we kept that on there. And then we have a dollhouse view. So I'm going to click on the dollhouse view, and that's going to bring up our structure here. And bring into our 3D view, we can orbit around. We'll have our orbit tools. So we can just click and drag and rotate that around. You can also use your scroll wheel to zoom in, or hold down that scroll wheel to pan in this view. So let's add a door here. So I'm going to select our door tool, and we have our hinge door, a doorway, sliding door, pocket door, bifold, and a garage door. So these are kind of our standard options, and of course we can change these as we go. I'm going to drop in a sliding door. So just put your cursor right onto the wall, single click, and now that's placed. Once we select that, Home Designer is object based, so it's going to select our entire door, and at the bottom we'll have our editing toolbar. In some of the Home Designer programs, this toolbar will locate to the left-hand side. One of those options is our Center Object tool. So single click on the Center Object tool, bring your cursor into the room, kind of on that wall that you want it centered on. Single click again, and it's centered. So we have our accuracy in our 3D view as well. Now let's drop in a window. I'm going to select our window option. We have our standard window, bay window, a box, bow, and pass-through option. And again, just bring your cursor right onto that wall. You'll see that outline, single click, and it's placed there for us. This time, I'm going to select our window, go down to our editing toolbar, and select our Open Object. So that will open up our window specification dialog box where we can change our window type, single casement, awning options, and so forth. And then you can also change all of your sizing and controls right here. And across the top we'll see additional tabs. Let's get into our treatments and add some blinds here. So I'm going to go into my library. This will just bring up our library with items related to our windows. We'll have our core catalog. These are items that are just generic that come with the program. We have bonus catalogs that are available through our website, and I'll show you where you can locate those, along with our manufacturer catalogs right through the website. And then our user catalog, that's your own custom library, and I'll be using that here later. So right now, let's just get into our interiors, accessories, and window treatments, and get into our Roman blinds. By selecting that folder, we'll have a preview of all of the different options in that folder. And I'll select that guy, select OK, and then we'll have a preview, make sure that looks good, and select OK. So I want to copy that window since we've made those modifications. So we have a copy tool right at the bottom here. Click on the copy tool, your cursor will change so you know that that is active, and then just single click on the wall over here to paste that. So let's get out of our 3D view just by closing our 3D window with this little X up here. And now we're back into our floor plan view. Hit your space bar. It's a little shortcut to the arrow tool. So the space bar is pretty nice and flexible there. Since we already have this wall dimensioned and our door centered, I'm going to use our temporary dimensions to accurately locate our windows. I'm going to single click on the interior of the window to get our interior dimension here. Single click on the dimension line, and let's change that to 17 inches. And do the same on this side. Select the window, select that temporary dimension, and there we go. Now we have our accuracy for the openings. We can also use our dimensioning tool. With our dimensioning tool, I'm using imperial dimensions, so feet and inches. When you start your plan, you can also specify metric before you get started. And that's in the Create New Plan option. So when you select your dimensioning tool, we have quite a few different options here. I'm just going to use our interior dimension and click outside of my plan and just drag it right through. And it's going to locate to the interior surfaces. So we can single click on our left hand wall here and single click on the perpendicular dimension. I'm going to change that to 30 feet. So put the foot marker in there and 6 inches. Hit enter and that will adjust for us. I'm going to select that line and just hit backspace on my keyboard to delete that. And now we have everything dimensioned correctly. So I'm going to get into my cabinet tool. Actually, let's get into a 3D view. So instead of using our floor overview, the dollhouse, I'm going to use our full camera. With this option, we just click where we're standing and drag to our focus. And now we're standing inside of the room. So with Home Designer, once you create that living area, the ceiling is automatically generated and all of the different materials that go into that space. So make sure you connect all of your walls to create that living area. And then we can continue editing in our 3D view with our cabinets. So I'm just going to drop in a base cabinet here. I would like to change this base cabinet. Instead of having the frame doors, I want to change the door and drawer style and the hardware. So I would like to consistently change the cabinet throughout the rest of my design. So I can go right up into my edit and down to my default settings. So you can set up all of the different materials and styles of your cabinets, your doors, room specifications, and so forth. So I typically set this up before I get started if I know I'd like to work with a specific style. Of course you can change throughout, so let's open up our base cabinet. Under our base cabinet controls, we can change our size options, countertops, backsplash, and toe kick. Under the front tab, we can change whether it's doors or drawers, what face items we have. The box construction, which is only available in Home Designer Pro. So you get a little bit more accuracy with Home Designer Pro with the actual box construction. And then let's get into our door and drawer styles. So you can change your door and drawer styles in all of the different programs. And let's just change that to a slab door and change our hardware. Let's do a different pull. So we'll just open up some of our different libraries here and we'll do a bar pull and we'll do that guy. And in our preview, we can see that it's not really positioned correctly. So let's bring that down. Let's try 3 inches here. There, that looks a little better. Now for our drawer, let's do just a slab drawer on there and change our handle to match our door. So we'll just get right back in here, select it, and there we go. Alright, so that's the style that I'd like. And once you're done changing all of that, you'll notice my base cabinet has updated. So as my defaults update, they will change throughout your plan. So let's get into our full height. We have the base cabinet, wall cabinet, full height, soffit, shelf and partition tool, so great for any custom closets, entertainment centers, or any bookcase options that you need to. And then a custom countertop, and that custom countertop is available in Architectural and Pro, so it gives you a little bit more flexibility there. We're going to put a full height cabinet over on the edge here, single click on the front, and we'll have some different editing handles so we can modify that. And as I drag that out, you'll notice the temporary dimension will update. So I have the accuracy in my 3D view as I work as well. Let's get back to our base cabinet and drop one in. I'll select the front of that guy and let's drag that out to 30 inches. And I want to change that, so we're going to open that up for specification. I'm going to single click on our preview and that will automatically take us to the front tab where we can change our door to a drawer. So we have quite a few different options in our drop down here. Just going to select drawer and modify our height. Let's try 9, and we'll have a large drawer at the bottom here. So pretty easy and flexible to modify your cabinets. And I'll just bump this guy over, single click and just bump it over. And we'll open this one up and change the hinge size, so we want a left door on here. We'll just drop in another one, resize it. Let's do 36 on there. And a quick and easy way to just modify and copy your work. You can multi-select by holding down Control on your keyboard and single click on those items. Now I'm just going to copy what I've already created, and I'm going to reflect that about the object. So in Home Designer Pro you have some more efficiency tools as well. Of course you can just copy and paste on the other side, but I'm going to reflect those over so I don't have to rearrange anything. Pretty quick and efficient. And I do want to open up these two 30-inch cabinets, and I want to make sure that with my countertop that I have flat sides, because we'll be placing a refrigerator next to it and moving this guy over a bit. Okay, so let's get into two different views. Underneath our window we can tile vertically. We'll also have these shortcuts. Shift F6 will get us into this view from here on out. And in my floor plan I need to zoom in, so I'm just going to use my scroll wheel on my mouse. So let's get into our refrigerator and place some different appliances in here. So we need to get into our library. Under the library drop down you can open up your library browser and get into all of the different core catalogs, bonus catalogs, and so forth. Under my user catalog, I've created my own folder. Just right click on that folder and you can do a new folder. You can import materials, images, plant images. So this is kind of your own flexible area. So I've created my own folder and copied a couple different items from our just generic library and pasted them in here because I use them pretty frequently. So let's get into my appliance folder and select my refrigerator, and we're just going to drop that in. And I'm not going to bump it up quite yet because I would like to put a partition in that area. I like kind of that seamless component. So I'm going to get into my cabinet tools again and get into my partition and kind of create that built-in refrigerator look. And it's saying that there's not enough room. So let's move out our refrigerator just a little bit and zoom in here. So now we can drop in that partition. I'll just bump it over, open it up for specification, and let's bring that out 24 inches. Alright, that looks pretty good. So we'll bump this over and bump over our full height as well. So let's place a wall cabinet above our refrigerator. Select that wall cabinet, just bring it right into the plan, single click, and now let's resize that and drag it out. And there we are. Okay, so we do need a kind of a finished look across the top, so I'm going to drop in a soffit. So we'll use our soffit tool and just drop in our soffit. So this will automatically locate to our ceiling, and I'm going to just resize it and drag it out. So I'm going to zoom out and drag it out. Okay, so now that we have that configuration, I'm going to get into our 3D view, just expand that view, and then drop in our cooktop. So just single click right onto the cabinet and it will integrate that into our cabinet. Once you place that on there, you can open up your cabinet, single click on the drawer, and it will automatically change that to a false drawer. So it kind of does that step for you, giving you just kind of more efficiency. Let's drop in our hood. So I'll just drop that in, saying that it's a little tight, but yes, let's place it anyway. I'm going to single click on that hood and center it with my center object tool. Just single click on that tool, single click on the cooktop, and now that's centered. Let's drop in our wall oven. So just single click on the cabinet again. And let's open this up for specification. So I'm going to open this up, select our bottom doors here, and change that to a warming drawer. So in Home Designer Architectural and Home Designer Pro, we can add an appliance. So multiple appliances, multiple door and drawer styles to a cabinet, giving you kind of additional design tools. And we're going to get into the wall oven and warming drawer. There we go. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Now let's change a few different materials. So I'm going to change my wall color. And we have a paint roller. So that's just going to blend this color with the texture of our soffit and our walls. And then let's change our flooring. We're going to lighten up the floor with kind of that natural look. So that's a spray can. It's just going to spray paint this material with its texture and everything on there. Once we apply a material, we can also adjust that. So in our toolbar, in our 3D view, we'll have this rainbow tool. This is our adjust material definition. With a single click on the flooring, it's going to open up our define material dialog. So you can change how the pattern is shown on here. You can change the angle. So let's rotate that and do 0. And then let's get into our texture tab. So the pattern is for our orthographic views, and the texture is for all of our perspective views that we're in right now. Let's change the angle of that and do 90. And then we can also change the scaling. So if you're getting into different tile work, you can change the size of your tiles and so forth right in here, giving you all of that flexibility. And you can also blend colors. So we'll talk about that with our cabinets a little bit. So we've rotated everything, we're good to go, and now you can see that plank direction has rotated for us. So let's talk about the cabinets a little bit. I'm going to apply a dark brown color, and you'll see the paint roller. So it's going to blend this brown color with the grain of our cabinet. So you'll see that come through, and we're in component mode right now. You'll see that at the very bottom. And with component mode selected, it'll just do the doors. We could do object mode, so it does the doors and the drawer, the box, everything is applied. We can also do room mode. So with one click, everything has been applied. So if you don't want to see the grain from that wood, you can also uncheck this blend color with material down at the bottom. Just single click on it to get that spray can, and the spray can will just apply that material and disregard the texture. So you can get in there and work with the different options there. And if I select that adjust material definition, single click on my cabinet, you'll see that we're blending this color with our cabinet. We can single click on that color. It's going to bring up our entire color spectrum. So we can just darken it up a little bit, or we can also select our eyedropper. Single click on that, and you can drag it off anywhere that you'd like to, onto a different website, whatever you need to there. That looks good, so I'll select OK. and we're good to go. And it will rename that for you so it doesn't get too confused. There we go. Alright, so now with our countertop, let's lighten that up a little bit. We're still in room mode, so with one click, that will be applied. Now I'm going to get into some different shelving. Let's put some shelves on our wall here. So Shift F6 will get us into our dual view. And we're going to get back into our cabinet tool and select our shelf option. So I'm going to zoom in just a bit here with my scroll wheel. Just drop in our shelf, and I'm just going to drag that out a bit. And let's open that up and make a little modification. I want to change the height to 1.5 inches. And then you can also change floor to bottom. So if you want this raised up a little bit, let's do 70. Just make it an even 70. We're good to go there. And let's use our material eyedropper in our 3D view. Single click on that material eyedropper, single click on our hood, and let's apply that right onto our shelf and our refrigerator. And let's see, maybe zoom in here. I think we need to apply that to our cooktop. There we go. Now everything matches for us. And we can just single click on our shelf here, make a copy. We're just going to copy and paste it in place. So there's an exact replica on top. I'm going to open that up for specification and move that down. Let's do 58. Select OK, and now that's been modified. Alright, now let's multi-select. So we can also do this in our 3D view. Just multi-select, copy, and I'm just going to reflect those onto the other side as well. And let's get into placing some different items on here. So let's get into placing different accessories. So we've been working with our plan view and our perspective view, but let's get into our orthographic. So this is the pattern-based option, and we have our cross-section elevation tool right in here and the wall elevation. All of the programs have the cross-section elevation, so I'll be using that one. Click and drag right to the back wall, and that will bring up our structure here. So I'm going to just zoom in, and we can toggle the color on and off. There's a toggle option over on the right-hand toolbar. And you'll also notice that there are these diamonds, our opening indicators. So this is a layer that we can turn on or off. I'm going to get into my display options. This can also be found under Tools, Reference, Display. And with our reference display options, we can show different items in our plan. So the column for used will be a plus if it's actually in our plan. The column for display shows us that we're actually seeing it. So if I hit O on my keyboard, we'll see that the opening indicators are being displayed, and I want to uncheck that. Select OK, and now we don't see them anymore. So pretty easy to work with your different layers and modify what you'd actually like to show on there. So I'm going to bring that color back in and get into my accessories. And let's start out with our large bowl here. So I can just bring my cursor right onto my shelf, and once I single click in this view, it's going to bring up a question for us. So my furniture layer is not turned on. Yes, I want to see that in this view. So it will automatically turn that on for you if you specify. So we'll just drop a few of those on. Let's drop in some bowls here. So I like working in this elevation view when I'm placing items on shelves. It's pretty convenient to do that, getting that different relationship placed on here. So great to work in all of the different views to place and modify all of your different objects and design. Okay, well let's place this up here. And we'll do some spices. Okay, so pretty easy to modify and accessorize. I'm going to close out of our elevation view here, and let's talk about our backsplash. So I'm going to just click and marquee around my cabinets, and it looks like everything is selected. So I need to be a little bit more specific on what I would like to highlight. So we can go up to our cabinet tool and the base cabinet, and this will enable us to be more specific. So just hold down Shift on your keyboard and marquee around those items. And we'll see down in our very left-hand corner, the very bottom, 5 objects are currently selected. So that's good to know. We have 5 cabinets there. So we'll open those up, and let's change our backsplash height. I've already done some calculations there, so we're going to do raise it up to 54 inches. And you know what, let's open those up again. And I want to change the thickness. So our default backsplash is 3/4 of an inch, but let's change that to a 1/2 inch. And then let's get into a different material. So let's drop in this material. And I'm going to be in my 3D view. And instead of doing room mode or object mode, I need to get back into my component mode so I don't do my countertops. So we can just apply this right onto our backsplash. And we'll see a little lip up here. So there's just a sliver of tile up top. So let's get back into our adjust material definition. Open that up. And we're going to bring that up. So I want to do my texture and my pattern. So if I do another elevation view, it will reflect because this is my pattern for it. And now that has cleaned up our tile, so everything is accurate for us. Alright, so our back wall has been completed. Now let's work on our island. So we're going to use our same cabinet tools. Just use your base cabinet tools and start working. So I'm just going to drop in a couple here. Let's do 30 inches on that. And we're going to do a dishwasher in there. Maybe a sink in this one, so we'll drag that out to 36. And we'll do another cabinet there. Let's open up this end cabinet and make it a little bit more special here. So under the door and drawer option, I'm going to remove our handle, and I want to create kind of like a wine storage area. So under my door option, I can get into my library, and we have some specialty cabinet options. So specialty storage, we have a lot of different wine options, your plate holders, and so forth. So we'll just do this wine rack, and we'll be able to see that there is still a shelf in there. So let's get rid of our shelf. Under the front tab, we'll just single click on our door, get into my specify shelves, and select 0. So Home Designer Pro gives you the most customization over your shelving. Of course, within all of the other programs, you'll still be able to specify your shelves, whether you want them in there or not. So you will have that capability. Alright, so that's been updated. Now let's apply some of the same materials. So we're going to use our material eyedropper. Just single click on our wood, and let's get back into room mode. So one click, and we're good to go. Now I'm going to drop in our dishwasher. So the dishwasher is kind of the same thing. It's integrated into your cabinet. Just single click on the cabinet. It'll pop right in there for you. And I wanted to get into one more area here and get into my core catalog. So we have quite a few different library items for you. Under architectural, you can find your fixtures. So this is where all of your sink components will be. Under the kitchen sink, we have some already pre-assembled options, or you can also drop in just an undermount without any fixtures. But I'm just going to get into my predefined area, and let's drop in our sink. So single click on that cabinet again to drop that in. We can also open up that cabinet, and under the front tab we have this appliance options control. So we can change the offset if we want to move that. Okay, so now that we have this configured, in my 2D view, I'm just going to marquee around everything, and we're going to have a little triangle. So I'm going to click on that and drag it around. We can also use our temporary dimensions to modify that, and let's do 42 inches. Hit enter, and that entire unit will move for us. I'm going to create a custom countertop with a little overhang so we can do that bar seat at area. So back into our cabinet tool, we'll find our custom countertop. And as I said earlier, this is in Home Designer Architectural and Home Designer Pro. And I'm going to zoom in here so we can just click and drag this out. And we can also kind of manipulate this a little bit. So I'm going to move this out and over and select the bottom edge here. And let's try 36 and see what type of overhang we have. That gives us a little overhang. And then while I have that bottom still selected, I'm going to go down to my editing toolbar and use my change line to arc. So we're going to curve that out a bit. And then there's a little triangle here where you can modify that arc. And you can hold down your control key. Holding down the control key while moving objects or resizing, that will eliminate any snapping. So it gives you free motion instead of going into your snap options and turning them off. So pretty easy to work with that tool as well. And now let's just match our countertops and apply some stools in here. So I'm going to find some stools. Just use that little search area up top here, and that will bring up the different stool options. And we can also right click on this item and show it in our browser. So it'll bring up where this is located and give you an idea of how you can find that in the future. So let's just drop in a few in our 2D view here. We'll just drop in a couple. Look a little high, so we can also get into our controls and modify those. So that's why I like to have a couple different views open so I can change the elevation of these as well. Now let's drop in some pendant lighting. So we have quite a few different light fixtures in the program here. So in our library, you'll find our lighting right underneath the architectural drop down. I have already found some pendants that I like, so I'm going to close that up and get back into my area here and just drop these in. I'm not going to be too specific here. We're just going to drop in a few. And as you can see, once you start placing the lighting, it will alter your 3D view. So let's get into our electrical tool in our default options here. So we'll have our 110 outlet, we'll have our 220. The light that I'm using is just a standard recess light. You can specify this in your defaults before you get started if you use a specific light consistently. We have our switch, connect electrical, and auto place outlets. So pretty easy. Let's just place an outlet here. Maybe there. So as I single click and drop that in, it will automatically adjust and place that on our wall. And maybe I'll put one over here so you can see it. Oh, you can't really see that one. Let me rotate around. There we go. So it will also locate to a consistent dimension off of the floor. You can change that in your defaults if you have a different code that you'd like to apply. And then of course you can also select those and manipulate those as you need to. So a lot of flexibility with your electrical. And let's just drop in a switch here. and do our connect electrical. So just click on the switch and we can connect all of our lighting and do our electrical plan. Let's drop in some recessed lights. So I'm just going to single click and I'm selecting on our soffit. So it's going to automatically locate to the bottom of the soffit. Or if you place them outside of there, it will automatically locate to our ceiling. So pretty quick and easy. Just single click, drop these in. You can also get up into your CAD lines if you want to just single click and drag out a CAD line, and you can also snap automatically to that line. So another easy way to create your electrical and be accurate with that. Okay, so now that we have our kitchen completed, I'm going to drop in a few different architectural blocks. Let's actually create one before I drop them in. Let's make an architectural block with our island. So I'm just going to marquee around our entire island and select our make architectural block. Let me zoom in here just a little bit. And I'm going to remove our connections here. You can hit Tab on your keyboard to select the next closest item. And there we go. Now we'll have our Make Architectural block. So with a single click on the Make Architectural block, it's now 1 unit. So I can move it as 1 unit and place it in the design. You can also place it in your library. So at the bottom we have the Add to Library, and that's going to bring it right in as untitled. So let's do Kitchen Island, and now it's in there. So if we want to use that again, we can. And I've created a seating area and table and chairs that we'll place in here. Let's get into a different view. I'll close this 3D view and just get into a new camera. Click and drag and move that up. Alright, so let's drop in our table and chairs first. And just kind of drop them randomly in here, and then let's move those over. And then I would like a seating area. So this seating area, I'm just going to click outside of my design because it's kind of large, and then use my control key, just hold that down to free up the snaps and drag it right in. So with those architectural blocks, it kind of enhances the room and the space for you. We have many different grouped rooms through our bonus catalog that you can also access. So under the bonus catalog, find the grouped bedrooms, furniture, and so forth. And I'll show you where you can find all of those through the website. I'm going to open up our 3D view here. And as you can see, this is kind of our standard 3D view that we've been in today. Across the top we have our camera view options where we can create a final view. This will clean up any jagged lines that we have. We can also create a final view with shadows. I created one earlier, so let me just bring that up. So that kind of enhances the different dimension and brings in another effect for you. And then across the top we'll have some different artistic rendering and our orthographic. So the vector view is kind of that orthographic, the pattern-based option. And of course we can toggle that color on or off whenever we need to. We have a glass house view, so you can see through all of the cabinets, see how everything's been constructed. And then we can get into our technical illustration and our watercolor. So a couple different effects for you. You can also get into the techniques and modify these. So if you wanted to change that glass house, the color, transparency, line thickness, and so forth, you can do that. Alright, so let's get back into our floor plan. I'm just going to close out of this view. And I wanted to show you what's created in our materials list. So within our tools, we have a material list drop down. You can calculate from all floors, so if you're doing a complete structure, you can calculate from a specific area if you're doing an addition or remodel. Same with calculating from a room. I'll just do all floors since we only have one room, not a big deal. And it will give us our heating calculations, some different exterior components that we have with our walls. And with our cabinet controls, we'll also see any manufacturers that have been used, the size of the cabinets, what it is. So base cabinet, the materials being used, the hardware being used, and so forth. You'll get a count. You can add any extra that you want to, add your local prices for your estimates, and add any comments in here. You can also export this to Excel, HTML, text, CSV, so feel free to work with this outside of the program as well. Alright, let me just zoom down to the bottom and you can see our fixtures, appliances, we have different furniture options and electrical, so everything is calculated right in here for you. Alright, we're going to close out of here, and no, we don't need to save. And I wanted to show you one more thing. When you're printing, all of the programs give you print capabilities in whatever view that you have on your screen. Home Designer Pro takes it to another level and enables you to get into a separate document. We call it a layout page. So that will bring up a title block for us. We can, of course, modify the borders. These are just CAD lines, so you can use these CAD lines to make additional borders or change the different boxes down at the bottom as well. You'll have your text tools, dimension tools, and you can also access the library if you have any logos, that type of thing. So I'm going to go over to my floor plan, and we're just going to send this over to our layout. So we can specify the scale right in here, and we'll see how large this is. Oh, that worked pretty well. So you can bring that over, add any notes and so forth that you want to, and create your entire construction document in here. The largest you can print with Home Designer Pro is 18 by 24 inches. So you do have a large document to work with. And I'm going to bring you over to our website. I wanted to show you a couple different areas. So on homedesignersoftware.com, you are able to check out all of the different programs that we offer under products. You can also get into a product chooser. So we have a compare all products area, so that gets into the nitty-gritty differences. So you can walk through this and see all of those differences. You can also get into our upgrades and discount area. So if you have an older version or just a lesser version, you need some more features, we do offer upgrade discounts, so come in here and check them out. Under the User Center, you'll find our content downloads. So these are the additional library items. You can find your bonus and manufacturer catalogs right in here that you can download and use within your program. We also have different training videos, additional webinars, user forum, Home Talk, a great resource to talk with other users, ask questions, and support other users. We also have some different user gallery and design samples, so get into that user center and explore those different training resources. We also have a help database, so this is an area where you can find just how-to articles. So they're written by our technical team here, so a lot of in-depth information. Let's just do islands. So just type in a keyword that you have there and how to create a kitchen island. Pretty easy. Takes you into an article on which programs that will apply to, gives you a bit of an image, and walks you through all of the steps. So another great resource on how-tos and getting into the program and custom design work. Alright, so if you do have any more questions, chat those in. Kayla will be on for a couple more minutes here. Our software is based off of our Professional Chief Architect program, so it's very robust, and we really try to enhance the features and give you flexibility over your designs. We do offer a 30-day money-back guarantee, whether it's a new purchase or an upgrade, so we want to make sure it's the right fit for you. And we do have a trial version of Home Designer Pro that you can download and check out as well before you purchase. We have the training videos for you. Definitely watch the training videos, check out the help database and the users forum for additional support as well. If you have any questions about what program is right for you or upgrading, any kind of product information that you need, give us a call, email us. We're here to help you out, get you into the right program, and answer those questions for you. So if you have any questions, chat those in or contact us. Thanks so much for joining us today, and have a great day. Thanks.